then it could end up being about 1 foot from the property
Guys
line.
ready? Okay. Okay. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Would you join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Councilman Rao.
Present.
Councilman Hunter.
Here.
Mayor Rao.
Here.
Councilman Berry.
Here.
Councilman Simons.
Present.
All here tonight.
We in compliance with the open meeting law.
We are in compliance.
Public comment. Do we have any public comment in regards to anything that's on the agenda tonight? Not, we'll move on.
Mr. Mayor, I got a public comment just on, so this plaque came from Scott Harden and Daryl Folks on the trail ride to present to the city of Caliente and their appreciation of the city. This is their 37th annual one, so there you go. I think they had close to like 160 people, 3 nights. And they, again, I brought this up in the last meeting, but these guys really promote the city like that's one of the biggest things that ride to all the people, so it's a little different than your regular deal.
Nolan made some money on that weekend, I think. All right. Any other public comment? Okay, move on. Items for discussion, possible action, approve or deny payments of the bills received by the council.
I've moved for approval of the bills as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the bills as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Approve or deny meeting minutes for 4/8/2021 and 4/14/2021.
No, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get 414 done from the budget meeting, so that will be on the first meeting.
I went through the minutes real close and there's just
As did I.
typo error on there that she has corrected. I would like to compliment the city's clerical staff. They sure have done a big improvement and on the minutes. So I would move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes for 4/8/21. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion. Homecoming updates.
We'd like to have something to hand out to the community. A little overwhelmed. I just want to say, we're going to have hope. Thanks to our mayor and his addressing with the fire department, which I'm very proud to be a member. The fire department's going to handle not only wrapping of the meat and that sort of thing, but they've also volunteered to serve. And the rest of the council is encouraged to come and help them serve as well.
That's you.
I'll be there.
We've gone through a whole lot of issues, and we're going to have a regular barbecue meeting. Well, it's going to be a donation this year. We're going to do not only cupcakes, we're also asking the community to participate with salads and that sort of thing. that taken care of. We're gonna have a button contest. We used last year's buttons, but it seemed prudent with the amount of time that we had to prepare. They were all numbered last year, and it seemed good. I don't know how the distribution, I'm looking that up to Rosemary Davis. She's got it well under control. She told me that yesterday. She's also going to get the volunteers out for not only cupcakes, but salads as well. So Memorial Day is pretty well handled. I talked with Jack Horner. He's going to make the usual presentation that he does at Memorial Day. But he's also going to take charge of a parade on Saturday to come out from the usual, what we do on Clover Street. So that's going to happen, and that was exciting. We've got a cornhole tournament that's going to go on. We're asking the churches to contribute to kids' games and that sort of thing. We're going to have the bounce house from, help me with his name.
Siegler.
Siegler?
Siegler.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I couldn't remember either.
So he's going to bring the bounce house on Saturday. And what else are we planning for Saturday? Well, we're inviting anybody who wants to step forward and put an event. What we're also doing is we're in the process of getting a hold of vendors because the softball game is going to be going on, and we want to have plenty of vendors there to feed people, since the usual volunteer for the
Concession stand.
concession stand is not going to happen this year, and I think that's advisable. This way, we have everything covered with vendors who have licenses, licensing, and that with the city, and I'm working with Amanda on that. But I'm putting out the letter. I'm going to save her the. I have all sorts of things that I got to get done by next week. So, but that's April, the end of April. So we've got that going forward, and then May, and we're giving them a deadline of 15. What I'd like to set up is what we did the year before with a vendor venue between the softball and the grade school. Okay? So that's about all I have. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. But do you have any questions of me?
I've got a remark, not a question. Being you mentioned the volunteers, when we know that you volunteer for this position, which takes a lot of your time to get this stuff done, and this just happens to be National Volunteer Week, so we thank you for your service.
Thank you. And I thank my whole group. There's only 6 of us right now. Don Deaver, myself, from Extension, well, and LCAT, Cheryl and Jeff, Rosemary Davis, and I don't want to forget that, Mangum. Pardon me? Roseanne. Okay. But we've been working like crazy, and we feel, well, and I don't want to forget Val Coverwell, who always is a champion for our buttons. I don't know how all that's going to work out, but we've got enough money from last year, and we're sending out also additional donations, and we're plastering our donors on the softball fence for, the different ones, okay?
Much as they'll give us.
What's that?
As much as they'll give us.
Well, we've got already $2,000, so we've got something to give away. Rosemary's on the bandwagon to get also different donations like we do every year. Okay? That's all I
Sounds good.
have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm not. Today's a great day for me. I've got 2 great grandkids that were born today, Cash and Ivy.
Okay, approve or deny Howie Hopkins' request for a conditional use permit at 760 A Street to build a garage and storage shed within 3 feet of the property line.
The planning commission recommended approval of this. The information you have on there, actually, I included it in my report. There's a little article about that. The drawing that he gave us shows that the property line is 2 foot through, the building is 2 feet, 3 inches from the property line. Well, the planning commission came to an agreement with one of the neighbors and Mr. Hopkinson that it needed to be 3 feet, and he's okay with that. And that's the only stipulation that they had in it. Well, and they don't want it over 15 feet high, but that's in the ordinance, so. Everybody, they recommended approval. There was no objections of any significance.
I just noticed on the application, it says within 1 foot of the property line.
Yeah, but that was a typo
Okay,
on the application part. The drawing itself, as you can see, it's on the screen now, shows 2 foot 3 inches. But
okay.
that still put it in an uncomfortable zone because supposedly the property line has been surveyed between the two of them, but we can't find it. So this was kind of an agreement between the parties involved.
And I actually talked to the neighbor, and she had her land surveyed when she had her salon put in 2 years back. So she does have the survey available. And so from my understanding, what it is that the fence, that's on there is actually a foot on his, let me make sure it's correct. She has a foot of property on his property, right? So where the fence line is, on the other side is the property that's hers. So that's why they wanted it to get 3 feet from the property line, which would actually be 5 feet from the fence.
And that's what they're doing then?
Yeah, and that was agreeable to everybody concerned.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve Howie Hopkins' request for a conditional use permit with the recommendations of the planning commission of moving that building to where they liked.
I'll second the motion. I appreciate anybody that's making improvement on properties, within the city. So I second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the motion to approve the conditional use permit to build this, what is it, garage and shed, storage shed or something? Workshop. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Approve or deny Nolan Avery's Shady Motel's request for elevation variance to only have to adhere to the base flood elevation.
This is pretty much the same thing. I had this information on my report that you have on. When this was the ordinance instituting the floodplain ordinance was drafted, there were some stipulations in it. There were not a requirement by FEMA. We have looked up all the stipulations in FEMA on the flood improvement map, and the language says, and in FEMA's requirements, that the floodplain elevation on the map, that we can't build above that, or I'm sorry, we cannot build below that. We build to it or higher. So there's some stuff in there that, our city attorney and myself are gonna do some revisions to that ordinance. But, Nolan is on kind of a bind here. He needs to get this done on a time schedule. So the planning commission recommended that this be approved with the stipulation that we will redo the ordinance.
And that's what we talked about earlier, to
Right.
change that to what he wants to do anyway.
Yeah,
So that's what the process is we're in the process of doing that now then, so.
We discussed that a few meetings
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Nolan, you want to add anything to that?
Says 1 3.5.
He has to raise everything to get up to the flood elevation anyway. So,
Saves you going up to another extra foot though, right?
What's another 8 feet of ramp? I gotta worry about ADA ramps. I got 2 of them.
I would move for approval on this. I think he's not worried about flood, he's more worried about fire.
Flood and fire. Got flooded out.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the variance for the flood elevation for Avery's. What is this gonna be? It's a,
New office and a new laundry room.
okay.
Tear down all the old stuff.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, approve or deny City Beautification Committee's request to move the Cinco de Mayo event to Rose Park with the allowance of alcohol inside the Rose Park.
I'll just introduce you, how's that? So we've talked a little bit about this, where we want to change the location of the Tacos and Ritas from the clock tower to the Rose Park. I think it's just a no-brainer of why we want to change it there, but it's just going to be a lot less stress on people, a little safer. And Anna Perkins is here from the beautification to give us even more updates. She is in charge of this whole thing. She's done a great job.
I think you guys all know that we had it there the first year. It was pretty successful. We're gonna do things a little different. VFW isn't gonna be cooking our meat. Tacos Sonora is, but we also need a lot of roasters to keep these tacos in so we don't run out. And Jim came over, started checking out all the electrical, and he started saying we needed like 6 generators and all that. And so he said, why don't we move it over to the park? We got Jamie on board with that, the president, and we feel like it would just be so much nicer over there. We're already set up for it. We don't use that park probably as much as we should or could, and the alcohol is a simple little bar that serves margaritas and beers in cans, and
It'll be cornered off. It'll be cornered off.
it'll be cordoned off on this opposite side of the playground is what we're thinking, that we can do it over there. We've got Chrissy from the Shamrock and Chris Connor running that, so I think we need permission for that. I don't know if we do or not, what the deal is on that, so that's why we wanted to come before you and see if we could switch over. I mean, it's next Saturday. We need to know.
Well, I make a motion that we approve County Beautification Committee's request to move Cinco de Mayo to Rose Park and allow the alcohol within
I'll second the motion.
the park.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Cinco de Mayo moving to the Rose Park. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And Mr. Mayor and Councilman, the beautification committee will be there all night, you know, making sure things are stocked. And we're also cleaning up all the trash, everything afterwards, so we won't leave it a mess for the city.
Approve or deny Shamrock Pub's request to transfer a liquor license to the Rose Park for the Cinco de Mayo event.
Kind of just,
Formality.
you guys already approved them to do it at block hours.
Make a motion to approve it.
Go ahead.
I'll second the motion to approve it.
Okay. Motion and the second to approve the Shamrock Pub's request to move their liquor license to the Rose Park. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you again. Hope to see you guys all there.
Okay. Approve or deny Mike, what was it, Kilmer's? Senior Director, Project Real, request that the city of Caliente proclaim May 1st, 2021 to be Caliente Youth Law Awareness Day.
I got this request about a week ago or so. Anyways, he's on the line if you guys would like to talk to him. I already sent the proclamation to Franklin. Like I said, he's on the line if you want to talk to him.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I'm here. If you
No, I think maybe get
have any questions.
the clerk to read this, and then you declare it as a
Anyone can read it.
National Law Day in Caliente for the youth.
I'm happy to read it out loud, and then you guys can move and motion and second it, and then have it proclaimed if you want. It states, whereas each May 1st is celebrated as National Law Day across the United States of America, with this year's theme being the rule of law, and whereas the city of Caliente is committed to the rule of law, the safety of our community, and the excellence and achievement of the youth in our community, and whereas Project Real, a nonprofit serving the people of Nevada, has used the month of April in the year 2021 to lead a statewide initiative promoting young Nevadans' awareness of laws and the consequences of breaking them, and whereas on this occasion our city asks all capable adults to instruct any young people in their lives on the importance of thinking within the context of the law and to help them understand that ignorance of the law is not an accepted legal defense for breaking it, and whereas these conversations will make a notable contribution to safety throughout our community. Now therefore, I, Steve Rao, Mayor of the City of Caliente, Nevada, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 1st, 2021 as Caliente Youth Law Awareness Day.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve, I guess it's a proclamation, or?
Yeah, just an oral proclamation that May 1st is May 1st, 2021 as Caliente Youth Law Awareness Day.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, approve or deny, what, Christine Harrington's Kimba request to use Super Park. Second annual Caliente Mountain Bike Fest Trails grand opening on October 1st through the 3rd.
Before I start, I would like to briefly introduce Ike Moses. He is stepping in as second in command for Canva, which is formerly Trail Cats, which is probably the name you guys are most familiar with. He's already jumped right in and made a huge difference for us on social media and planning events. So we're really grateful to have him, and I wanted to make sure you guys knew his face and his name. For the fest this year, we are planning October 1st through 3rd. We're hoping from anywhere 150 to 200 people from the region. lately we've been seeing a pretty significant uptick in mountain biking visitors from as far away as Montana, Oregon, Idaho, Salt Lake, Tahoe, New Mexico, and Arizona, California. So
Word's
things are
getting out.
picking up. We're actually seeing people come in, which is very exciting. So we're hoping for a good turnout this year. Just to give you a brief overview of the event, on Friday night, we're hoping to have a barbecue and a bike movie showing at Kershaw Ryan State Park. And then Saturday and Sunday, we would hope to be situated at the Super Park all day, having shuttles, vendors. On Saturday night, we would like to have a dinner, music, we'll do raffles, and a couple other events. And then Sunday will just be vendors and shuttles to the trail systems again. And then we'll close things down Sunday afternoon. We have our specific requests in front of you. The only one I did want to make a change to were number 5 and 6. I understand from Grant that there may be something taking up the space at the industrial park relatively soon. So if we need to, we could certainly move our request for camping space to the rodeo grounds. And that would work great for us if that's okay with you. If you have any questions about our requests.
I think the only deal we have on that is we like to support our businesses that we have here, and we have our RV parks and camping areas out there, which don't have a lot of just tent camping and stuff like that, but we would like those people to be utilized too.
Absolutely.
So, and another deal on this thing that I've noticed was when we're closing off that street out there, we need to make sure that, I mean, we can close it off so that people can't drive through there, put your deals up, but we need to have access through there for emergency vehicles, for fire, and so we'll need to make sure that we have a path through there anyway. Yeah. Yep, yeah, you need to talk to George there, so get him to approve your plan.
Was there a reason you went to October this time around and not September, like 2 years ago?
Largely it was conflict with other major mountain bike events that would have taken away a lot of our vendors and possibly some of our target audience.
Okay. I mean, you did a good job 2 years ago. You competed with the Alien Fest and still had some good numbers. I mean, I thought I went to the dinner 2 years ago and it was a good time, so it's a good thing.
Have any questions on this event? Okay.
Make a motion, we approve the request to use the Super Park for the second annual Mountain Bike Fest.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second to approve the Mountain Bike Fest on October 1st through the 3rd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
We'll be charging this year, but you're all invited, of course, as special guests, free charge, so look for your invitations. Thank you.
Christine, I got one question. The event is still this Friday? No, next Friday.
The mountain bike race.
Yeah,
The NICA race, that is
next
next Saturday.
Saturday.
It coincides with us.
Yeah, it does, so we'll send them all down the hill to you.
We know we're gonna get a few, but.
We're expecting, from the organizer, they said that we should expect, along with around 800.
And where'll that be? Will that be up the canyon then at?
It'll be up on top of, Kershaw.
Oh, at your Kershaw, down into Kershaw, then is where it would be? Okay.
Are you guys providing any food there or barbecue or anything this weekend?
So you will get some, don't worry, you'll get some.
I'm sure we'll get some of you guys.
Amanda, what's this stuff? Is that on the agenda? Okay, I didn't see it on there, so.
Okay. Okay, approve or deny appointing Lynn Jackson to serve as a representative of the city on the Lincoln County Regional Development Authority.
So from my understanding, from my understanding, Regan Gubler is no longer on the Regional Development Authority, and so we are looking to replace him. Tommy, was suggested that, Lynn Jackson had interest.
I talked to Lynn and he said he would accept the position if he was appointed.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I think with Lynn Jackson having been a native so long here, I think he'd actually be very fit for that position on the Regional Development Authority, and being a business owner and things, I think he'll be a great addition there. So I make a motion that we approve Lynn Jackson to serve as the representative for the city on Lynn County Regional Development Authority.
I'll second it.
Okay, you have a motion and a second to approve Lynn Jackson as a representative to Lincoln County Regional Development Authority. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, approve or deny Jim Bourne's Battleborn Butcher Block request for a City of Caliente business license.
I'm sorry, guys, you're not gonna see that on there. My office tried to reach out to him and he gets not very good cell phone service, so, we weren't able to actually get the application, here, so I don't know whether you guys wanna table it or maybe just, approve it pending that he gets the application to me. You know, I always check for the state business license and those things as well, so just whatever you guys wanna do here, Jamie.
Well, it appears we've got him here, so.
Yeah, so if you have any questions for him, he's there.
Aye.
Now, do you have a state business license?
Yes, I also have a county business license.
Okay.
We don't have any cell phone reception or phone or power or anything out at the Hermitage, so. We've had no idea that we were supposed to have one until just a moment ago, so.
Would you mind walking us through a little bit of what your business plans are there?
Absolutely. It's a USDA meat processing facility, be at the industrial park. Run through, starting out about 4 cows a day, and then getting up to about 48 cattle a day within about 3 to 4 months. Then we'll be putting additional buildings in, one new building every 6 months or so until we have 3.
I do have one thing on this. You made a presentation to the planning commission, and they all reacted very positively towards this. It was not an agenda item, so they couldn't take any.
Now, we met with Jim here a week or so ago and went over his whole project, and it was impressive.
Ken, one thing, I didn't have for you last night that I thought you might wanna have.
Did we get the floor plan of that in the packet? I didn't see it.
No, I did not. I did not get the floor plan in the packet.
It's approximately 5,000 square foot building, the initial building will be, and we'll work from there.
We'll be starting with 18 employees. We'll have to be up to about 50 employees, full-time employees within 90 days.
What did you say you were gonna start with?
18 for the
18.
first week or two,
Okay,
and then we'll be bringing them in. So,
This is no longer the mobile.
oh, we still have a mobile component to it, yes. But we are building a permanent facility, 4,990 square foot facility, so that we don't have to comply with fire suppression systems.
Gotcha.
We were gonna do a 12,000 square foot building, but the fire suppression system in combination with the chemical and the water was 4 times the expense of the building.
So phase one is the initial building, 5,000 square feet?
Yes.
And then when your total build out, that's 2 more buildings in addition
Yes,
to?
we'll do, that's what our plans are. Obviously, it depends on the amount of business. I know we won't have a problem with the business. My concern, and I've shared it with the planning committee, I've shared it with everyone we've talked to, is being able to get the employees we need. Because it's gonna be pretty hard just to get 50, let alone you start jumping up into the 150. That's over 10%. God bless you. over 10% of the population of this town. So we've been talking with a few people about building, looking at some land. We've talked with the city, and we're in the process of having our grant writer write some housing development grants and some things like that so that we can get some housing. We're gonna build all of the housing for this project in Caliente, not in the county.
And are you the sole, I should say investor or backer? Do you have other ones that are silent partners or?
Oh, no, I have a number of people that are involved.
Okay. And they're all decided on Kelly Industrial Park. I mean, it's good news for us, but that's good. I'm glad.
The company
you wanna
has
come back
decided
and-
that it is going to be now, obviously, if we have an issue with that, we have an offer from other locations, a couple of them in Utah and another one in Nevada that have offered pretty much the sky. But I'm a community-minded person and we really want to be here.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer as far as, I mean, somebody actually coming into the industrial park and wanting to, like you're saying, kind of give back to the community, give the youth, chances to work. I listened to a little bit of planning last night. The sewer line, I don't know if Mayor Rouse, you mentioned something last night about a sewer that would have to extend.
Well, it's not an extension. We're just punching into the main sewer line lower down so
Lower
they
down.
have more drop. I did review with our engineer and our architect from our original conversations with the public utilities in Caliente. The most we'll ever be able to do through that is about 2,000 gallons per minute. The sustained is probably 200 gallons per minute, and we will have 2 inline industrial traps in that. So the water and the sewage that's going to be going into the treatment facility is going to be considerably lower sewage than what is coming through your lines through residential usage.
Okay.
Hey, we had a good question on that last night, so I did some research and talked to some people on that today to be able to answer that.
We do have the high school up here graduating, and the graduation class from Brannigan Valley High School. Would you give a brief assumption of how you would like to train some of these young people?
Absolutely. I know that I'm not sure the name of the program. It's a workforce program. One of the gentlemen who works for me at my ranch, Chris Mangum, is actually in Las Vegas right now. They're sending them there. They're sending them to a CDL school for 5 weeks to get a CDL license. That's how I learned about the program. I'd like to have 8 Lincoln County seniors or 18 to 20, 21 years old get into that program, get the training, and we'll hire them. And I'm trying to get a meeting set up with this committee because if they stay for 6 months, we'll actually reimburse that program for that cost. I think it's a great opportunity to keep our youth here, and if we can financially support that as well, it's a win-win for both. Because a lot of them aren't going to want to be working in a meat plant, but if we can put that money back in so that they can go to a CDL school or a welding school, something like that would be great.
And this training would be for apprentice butchers.
Yes. And we have each apprentice butcher matched up one-on-one with a master butcher. So within 6 months or to a year, as those new buildings open up, they would be transitioning into that master butcher side, which is closer to that $30 an hour with full benefits. And I'm not sure where many 18 or 19-year-old kids after a year are going to be making $30 an hour. And we want people forever. Turnover will kill us in this industry. If I have the business, I can't tell cows to stop and wait because I'm going to have another 48 coming in 10 minutes. So we have to have a very consistent product. So we're really looking to keep people long-term. We're going to be offering retirement and taking care of the people that stay with us.
So how soon do you expect to start breaking ground and moving forward on this plan?
As soon as I have a business license and y'all have approved this and we have a signed lease, we're paying for a building, and it takes about 60 to 90 days to get that building here. As soon as it's approved, cement work is going to be starting, grading is going to be starting. I have $1 million already in equipment sitting on a lot. And we originally were going to open a month ago, but when this industrial park site opened up, it makes way more sense to refocus into that brick and mortar building and be able to do a longer term. So even if everything goes perfect, we're looking October or November 1 before we're doors open. So we're very aggressive in trying to get this taken care of and quickly.
Where's the beef all coming from?
Well, 82,500 beef within 200 miles of Caliente were shipped to USDA processing facilities last year. That facility, even at built out with 3 full buildings, is 6,000 cows a month. So we can't not even meet the need we have now. But we have a meat company we've already contracted with that will be doing about 2.5 to 3 months a year of our business. And I'm a Wagyu guy. And so we're focusing, we've already hired a marketing company, JDA, who's going to be going to the Wagyu world west of the Mississippi. And we're trying to get that Wagyu business. The largest one in the United States is in New Mexico. He does about 5,000 a year. And he's already committed. But I want to get the rest of them. That's where the money is. My meat company has contracts with restaurants in Las Vegas to supply that meat. I can't get them the meat. So it's absolutely killing me.
At the planning commission last night, this was thoroughly discussed for quite a while, and they're, like Ken said, they all approve it. We need to have, as quick as possible, a survey done in that area. So when we put him in, he'll have the surveyed property and know just exactly where it is, instead of putting something in hodgepodge to where it's not available.
Absolutely,
So-
plat mapped out for that location that we'd be wanting to use, absolutely.
So we need to notify Grant that we need to get the surveyor
Everybody going.
on it as quick as possible.
Still Mr. Wolf that does it?
Pardon me?
Mr. Wolf? Mr.
Yes,
Wolf? Yeah.
yes, he's the only one licensed in the county right now.
So that'll be discussed when we talk about the leases specifically on the last item on the agenda for today.
And how many acres did you need, sir?
About 2 acres.
2?
Maybe a touch less, but the building footprint's pretty small, but with our pins, a parking lot, a road all the way around our building so that the semis can get in and out without having to back up, it's gonna be about 2 acres. And we do have plans that after about 12 to 18 months, we do want to block wall that whole thing in with landscaping as well.
Have you looked at the impact of I mean, obviously, as in a year from now, as you're bringing more and more semis into the area, and the traffic that brings in, I mean, I'm sure some of the trucks are gonna have to park overnight, some of them are gonna, stay there. Do you have accommodations for that for them to stay there?
Almost all of them have sleepers, and I know that McCroskey at the Y has put in a whole lot for people to park. And I know a lot of these local businesses would love to have those trucks stopping to eat, buying their groceries.
That's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely, but it sounds like an awful lot, but if we were doing pure semis, a pot load, it's 50,000 pounds per, you're looking at 30 to 40 cows depending on what type and what size. Even at full capacity, you're talking 4 semis a day. So the impact for traffic really is pretty small. My concern more than the semis would be, one of the reasons we're doing this is for the smaller and medium-sized egg producers. If you have less than 100 cows, you're not getting in a USDA facility anywhere in the United States right now. If I wanted to get a calf that was born yesterday in, I had to make an appointment 3 months before he was born. And I have to have at least 100 cows. So we're trying to make it small enough so that the guy that has 10 or 20, I know a lot of the local producers that need to be able to get cattle taken care of, and they can't do it. So my bigger concern than the semis is, the guy
pickup
from
trucks,
Alamo that brings in 12. I bring in 18 from my place, although I've got a semi. But it's the smaller trailers, that's more of my concern. If I have a day where I have no large loads coming in and each person's bringing 10, and once it's built out, you're talking 30 to 50 trucks with trailers. Now that, I'm sure the hotels would love, but where do you park? That would be more of my concern. And I try and point out the realism, not, because in a perfect world, I would say, oh yeah, it's 3 semis, but I think we have to look at more than that.
Well, on that note, I just want to say, I think I'm excited for seeing the opportunities come in, especially for the young kids. I like to see kids moving on and doing things, and this is a good opportunity for them. And so
Coaching wrestling, yeah, I see all these awesome kids, and our community's kids are just outstanding. Would love to stay here. There's nowhere for them to make a living wage and raise kids, with what we have. And so if we can provide this, this is gonna bring other ancillary business in, and hopefully we can get some of our youth to be staying. All of them aren't going to, obviously, some are gonna go get degrees and become doctors. But I'd love to have something so that our youth have a place to stay, instead of leaving and coming back when they're 50 or 60 and then moving to Pioche.
Well, on that, I think we make a motion to approve Jim Bourne's Battleborn Butcher Block's request for a City of Caledonia business license.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve Jim Bourne's Battleborn Butcher Block business license. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Did you guys want me to stay for the lease discussion?
No, that's just a general discussion regarding
Yeah.
how to proceed forward on the industrial.
Okay, so where will we go after that discussion? When can we sit back down, or?
So I'll put you on the next meeting, which is on the 6th.
Or we can just sit down and talk to him and discuss how we.
I can just come,
Yeah, we'll talk with the mayor.
okay,
Do we have
Individuals
to
probably
do
just
that?
reach out to you.
okay. And then once we have something that works for everybody, we bring it back onto
It'll-
the agenda for
Yeah,
a
we'll
full
get a
vote?
lease agreement together. and
Awesome. I really appreciate everyone's time and all the support that the community's given this project and the other things we're doing. It's really nice to see that we're doing things to help out the community, so. Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If you have questions on those drawings, let me know.
Well, I'm gonna need more drawings on this, you know that.
I have a credit.
Oh, do you? Well, let's see it.
Thanks, guys, I appreciate it. I'll call you to get that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Deny changing the city's software system from Cassell to Town Cloud.
So I don't know if you guys have been, I've been talking about them for quite some time now. And looking into them and looking into other software companies. We looked into Tyler Technologies and a couple other ones. Linda reached out to other entities around us, Elko, Ely, just basically any of the smaller communities she reached out to. We noticed that a lot of the smaller cities use Tyler Technology and none of them like it. We've noticed that a lot of the the smaller counties use Cassell. And we only found one that liked it. Everybody else does not like it, and Amy Elmore from the county is probably cursing it still right now as we speak. I also reached out to our IT company, DynaQuest, and asked them, to vet TownCloud, that's this company, and also their opinion on our idea of software changing. And they emailed me back that they highly recommend that we get rid of Cassell, and that everything that they could find on this company was pretty good. I also had Linda call the companies that, some, not all of them, but some of the entities that work with this company, and we couldn't find anybody to say a bad thing about them. We use this company for our agenda software, which we absolutely love. We like the people that we worked with, and the setup of it was extremely easy. So as a whole, I really like this company, TownCloud. The couple of things that I am kind of reserved about that I am questioning is that this is a developmental company. So they're still developing different programs and stuff like that because they're not a newer company. So like their payroll department isn't up and running yet. But by the time that we get everything else implemented and we get to payroll, they should be up and running. Because this isn't obviously, we can't just dump Cassell and start with TownCloud. It's going to be a whole system changeover, which will take quite some time to get everything moved over with all of our utility departments and business licensing, my GLs, all of that. It's going to take some time to get it all moved over. So that is one of my, I would just say hesitations, is that they're a developmental company. But there are some pros to that, as I put in your guys' email, is that with them being a developmental company, they're offering us kind of an amazing deal for a 2-year contract. And we would also be able to give our input into these these developments as they go. So at the end of it, when they're all said and done, we'd have a more customized software to what we want and what works best for us, because we were there as they were implementing it and putting it together. So their staff, their team is an amazing team. They have one guy that actually came from Cassell, one software designer that came from Cassell because they like their cloud-based software, which this is a cloud-based software, so that means no licensure. So like when we went and we got the purchase ordering, that was what, it was like $3,000 plus an extra $100 to our service contract monthly. That, you're not gonna see that. This is, if you break this down to 24 months, what our monthly charge is actually only maybe $200 more than what we pay in our service charge for Cassell. And we would never have to worry about a licensure charge, which was those $3,000 for each different department that we get, each different mod that we get. We wouldn't have that. And we'd also be going in under the enterprise, which means that anything that they develop, which is new, we would have access to, and with no more charge. Because underneath their enterprise, that's just a subscription to all of their programs that they have. And so, anyways, we've done a lot of research on them. Like I said, I really like the people that are working with, and we really like the agenda program that we've been working on. So this isn't, like I said, this isn't going to be an all right now thing. Oh, and that's another thing that I wanted to state is that this contract doesn't start until our first modular goes live. So we wouldn't actually be getting charged. So this is a contract we would be agreeing that, yes, this is how much we're paying, but we actually wouldn't start getting charged that until our first mod goes live.
Where are they out of? Where's their main office?
Well, they're actually an internet-based company, so they don't have a main office. Their main guy that is the software developer, he is out of Kentucky, I do believe, and then the promoter is out of Salt Lake. Jake.
So if there's trouble with the program and they can't walk you through it on the phone, how long will it take them to get somebody here to fix it?
So they basically have the same setup as Cassell is, where if there is a problem, they can remote in and be able to fix the problem like that. But if not, then they would send somebody from their closer district, Salt Lake area, because they have people that work for them all over the country, and so they would just send somebody from their closest area.
So it sounds like that, and I don't know if we have internal servers right now. Are we using internal? So there's not going to be any hardware associated with TownCloud because it sounds like they're a fully cloud-based system. So there doesn't sound like there'd ever be a reason for them to be local, because anything that they would do would be online anyway, because there's no hardware associated with the system.
Okay, now you say we're not gonna drop the one we have right now, Cassell. We're gonna be using both of them. Will there be a double charge then, or will we be paying twice?
So yes and no. So as I phase them out, our contract with Cassell will drop. As I phase one mod out, our contract with Cassell will drop. So yes, we will be paying two at one time, but one will be going lower and lower until we phase them out completely.
And our budget can handle it.
Our budget can handle it.
And
Also, I just wanted to also point out that anything that, because we're getting that money from COVID, so we can also we don't need it, our budget can support this itself, but if we need a little bit of a cushion, we do have that as a backup support as of the transition. Monthly, like I said, our budget can support this perfectly fine.
What does our auditors think of this system?
This is a system that they've never used before, so they didn't really have too much to say about it. They understand our problems and the issues that we have with Cassell, and they're in agreement to try and find something new. Like I said, this is a new program, so it's going to come with its, hiccups and transitions and stuff like that. I can't guarantee, everything's going to just work out perfectly when it comes in, but like I said, we've been working with this company for over 2, maybe 3 months, talking with them, and well, actually, even before my maternity leave, they wanted me to put this on the agenda before my maternity leave, and I told them no, I wanted more time to think about it and research and stuff. So I've been working with them for quite some time. I really do. I have faith in what they're offering.
Does your training, oh, sorry, Sean, does your training go into that too, like, right
That's-
here, I see employment?
Into this,
records.
yes, this includes the training for them, and the implementation of it.
Yeah.
My work just switched to something, probably Jamin too, that's same type of deal.
My question was the training, we've been talking about how we'd like all the office ladies to be cross-trained and we've always been talking about getting them Cassell trained and all that. What will this step do as far as training them? I mean, we all plan to be trained on it, but do you feel did they tell you about how, I mean, is it gonna be easier? Are we gonna be taking 3 steps back? Just those are my only concerns. Everything else looks good, like the no licensing and all software and some of the other stuff I read in the email.
So the training for the girls, that's gonna keep happening through Cassell, obviously, because that's where we're at. So like Charlie, she's gonna start learning AP next week. And she's learned all the GLs and the bank rec, and she's pretty much very well trained in the bank rec situation. So we're gonna keep training through Cassell. And then, which is gonna be nice is, as we learn this system, we're all gonna be learning all of the departments all together at the same time. So we're all gonna be getting the same knowledge going in the gate. So I kind of think that's gonna be a plus. It's gonna be a little bit of a slower process, obviously, because we have to learn a new system. But I think it's gonna be a positive because we're all gonna be learning all of the system at the same time, where right now, I'm the only one with main knowledge of Cassell. We're all gonna be grasping it all at the same time.
Okay, thanks.
George has a question.
Yeah, so I've done the demo for the utility department and for the GL department, and I've seen the demo for their payroll that's not up and live yet, but that's just kind of like their put together demo that they put together. And so yeah, I've watched all of those demos. And then basically, one thing that was nice about Cassell, which is the same about this system, is that they use basically the same formatting for all of their departments. So it's easy to learn the next one, because they kind of use the basic same underlying formatting.
I just want to say, over at Extension Office, use Cassell. And it's been problematic. The old system that the county used to have, I love, but it was like in the dark ages, but you could get anything you wanted through that system. The problem with Cassell is, the only thing I can do is, think of it right now, sorry, I'm getting old. But only one part of it, I can't do the invoicing, which is the other half of what I do. And I can't post check numbers on anything that I process because they're nowhere to be found. I have to call the treasurer and get all those check numbers, which I think is ridiculous. And I find Cassell is probably one of the most, well, and I'm comparing it with our old system, which is outdated but very efficient. It is not user friendly at all. That's all I have to say.
It's just,
George?
I would just say, I'm dealing with, systems out of the hospital. I would, especially
Fraud.
with full conversion, I would make sure that's a big decision.
Yes.
You go with the full conversion, I think you might have seen it at the hospital when we was on the board before I went to work there.
Yeah.
But you had, they went 6 months without dropping a bill because there's so much involved, so.
Yeah, no, it is.
Anything to take lightly.
No, and I agree with you 100%, George. It's not. It is something that, like I said, I have been looking into, and I've been watching. And like I said, there's been several times that I thought, okay, maybe I'm ready to put it on the agenda, and I'm like, no, you know what? I think I want to research one more thing, or call one more person, and look into one more thing. So no, he's 100%. This is a huge undertaking. This is going to be a big transition, and this is not something to be taken lightly. This is a very big deal.
they're just, I
And
mean,
a
there's
huge system
companies
solver.
out there that fraud, government entities because it is the cloud, it's soft, it's in, it's software but you said our auditors looked at it and you've seen it in action and
Yeah, well,
talked to
our
actual
auditors looked at
humans.
the budget part of it. I had our IT look at them. DynaQuest, our IT company, researched them, and so anyways, they said that they looked like a good company to go with, and like I said, I liked working with them, and they're very upfront and honest with what they have to say. They say, okay, well, we can do this for you, but we can't do this for you, which I find very refreshing.
I would like to see some more research, probably.
And that's fine, and I can,
Like, before we vote on, because I'm going, again, I don't want to speak too much about my work, but I'm going through that exact same thing right now at work. Almost speaks back to what George said, and
I
if
can
the state of
completely
Nevada's having
understand.
all kinds of troubles with it, so.
I think what Joe's saying, I mean, kind of what I'm reaching for more too is, I think a demonstration on this from them of how this works and what,
Sure.
anything there, something would help us to tangibly see what this software is capable of doing and be able to ask them questions too, you know, or what they've dealt with in it.
And I have a question. You're gonna be training all three of you at the same time to learn this program. Wouldn't it be advantageous to everybody working a 5-day week until this training's over?
Well,
Because there's gonna be somebody off almost every day. And if this training's gonna be done, you need everybody there.
so we only have, we only have Charlie, we're only missing somebody Mondays and Fridays. And the training's not gonna be every single day, so we can do those trainings during the middle of the week, but obviously, if it's up to this board and you'd like us to move to 5/8, we will. I can tell you that that would not sit very well with my staff, though.
We wanna do what's gonna be best for the city.
I agree.
Yep.
I think we can make it happen. I
agree.
think we can make it work the way we're working. But if we run into issues, I can definitely make them work for 5/8. I don't think 4/10s will be a problem, but that's just my opinion.
Another question on it too, Grant, the city guys over here are all gonna be doing their own time sheets on there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all gonna need
A little
it's gonna
training
take
for-
some time once they get it, if we actually went with this, so.
And that's exactly why I was saying it would be one department at a time. We would take one department, we'd implement it, train on it, learn it, move to the next department. And so that's where when the guys, you know, when it came to payroll time, they would learn that timesheets on that side of it and everything like that. But again, like I said, their payroll department isn't 100% ready to go live yet. And that's, like I said, one of my hesitations is that it's very scary to go into something that they haven't even had gone live themselves.
And I like it, like looking at, reading that little thing, again,
Lot of
tying it
positives.
back to like my work. After I've played with it for a minute, it might be a smoother thing, but I'd like to see something more about it.
Yeah, that's not a problem, and they've told me that too, that if you guys like them to come on and do like a demo or something like that, that's not a problem for them.
What is their customer base right now? I mean, if they don't have all of their products implemented and live right now, what kind of a customer base do they even have right now?
So they have a few here and a few there, so they have a lot, they have, I think, over 20 entities using their agenda system, which is what we use. And so that's basically where most of their customer base was and that we found. And then they have a few people using, I say a few, I don't know the exact number, that's why I say a few. But they have a few people using their utility software. And then we called an agency in Indiana that's using their GL software. And that's all that we reached out to, obviously, because I wasn't gonna call every single one of them that they had, and they don't have a list of all of their customers, but those were the ones that were easily to find, so we were able to call them up.
Other little like rural Nevada towns using it.
Yeah, so they have, oh, I'm sorry, did you say no rural Nevada towns?
Yeah, like, is there any other rural Nevada, like Eureka, any of them using it, or?
I don't think any of them are using it, no. All of their software they've been able to keep into. And so one thing that we did ask, because I just was curious, you know, the county, they just went through this big undertaking and they did a ton of research and they landed with Cassell. So I wanted to know why. You know, we've been with Cassell for over 30 years, so nobody knows why we went with them. They might be the only one available then. But I wanted to know why the county went with them. So I asked them and they said mainly it was because it was price-based. You know, they were the cheapest one out there. And that's kind of what makes this company so appealing as well, is because they're developing, they're offering an amazing price base. with the county and with Tyler Technologies, we found a lot of the entities around here have been using software systems that have been taken over by Tyler Technology. And so my understanding, Tyler Technology is pretty good. They're a cloud-based system as well. They're extremely pricey. But there are other companies that they have, which are companies that they've bought out and stuff like that, are terrible to use from everybody that we've called. And so a lot of these companies are trying to go over to a cloud-based, even Cassell. And I know that we talk really badly about Cassell, but they're not the only ones. And part of the problem is that there are these old companies that have been around for so long, and they're trying to integrate to this new system, and it's just not very easily done. It's not easily done. So even with Cassell, we just bought this purchase order system. And the main reason why we bought it, and from their advertisement and everything, they said it was so our guys can be out in the field, and if they go and get gas, they can put their purchase order in, and it sends it over to Linda, and it says what department it needs to be pulled out of and everything that she needs to know. So we get it all set up, and we get it to go use it, and we found out that because we didn't buy the app version of it, the guys can't use it on their cell phones. That was the whole reason why we bought it, and that's a whole part of what they're advertising it for. And the reason why they can't do that is because their two technologies don't mesh. Their old one and their new one don't mesh well enough to where they can work together. And that's where this newer company is trying to make it so everything is meshed together, everything is cloud-based, everything is running a lot smoother, which honestly is kind of where the whole world is going, so it'd be nice to, advance with them.
Do we have to advertise this for this? Do we have to advertise?
No, it's under the threshold.
So yeah, I have no problem putting them on the next agenda to have them do a presentation with GLs and, the utility software and stuff like that. Another positive too that I wanted to mention was that we just integrated our credit card system to Express Bill Pay, which we love Express Bill Pay. Town Cloud uses Express Bill Pay as well, so that part wouldn't have to be changed or moved at all. And it will also help with our utility department changeover because Express Bill Pay has already got all of our utility based into an Excel spreadsheet, which would make it easier transferable over into.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I say we table this, change over to the software system until we get just even more background. I mean, I know you have done that. Maybe we get a demonstration, maybe we get an interface with a human. Maybe I just, like I said, there's a lot of positives to it, but I just think that a little bit more research on our end is, if we do our due diligence, it'd be better. So I say we table this.
And do you want me to have them on the next agenda with doing a demonstration?
Yeah, if you can do that, that'd be great, if the council agrees.
Is that a motion?
So, yeah, I guess to make a motion to table this until we can get further background information on this company.
I'll second the motion to table it till we get further information.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded then that we table changing the city's software system until we get some more information and some,
A demo.
yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion, possible action, criteria of a lease agreement for the industrial park.
Yeah, I'll talk on this a little bit. We talked about this yesterday at Planning Commission meeting. The one recommendation that came out of the meeting yesterday is that as of right now, if you look at the map for the industrial park, there's two large parcels that total about 105 acres out there. The problem with that is when you lease a piece of property, you kind of want a definite border around the property that you're leasing. And so the recommendation that came out of the Planning Commission is that is that first and foremost, we get a surveyor out there to survey, create a parcel, I guess, for whoever, in this case, we're talking about Mr. Bourne, because he's the closest one, is that we go out there and parcel off exactly what he wants to use, so he knows where his boundary is. The discussion after that is, sorry. And I think that's important because I guess we don't want to create a general parcel map right now for the whole industrial park because we have no idea what the needs of future businesses there will need or what their pieces of land will need to look like. So I think it's more advisable to do kind of a step-by-step approach, figure out how a new leasee would fit in with the other ones. And that way we can create roads as new businesses come in and figure all of that out. The second part of that question is how to divide the cost of creating those parcels. I guess the creation of a parcel or hiring a surveyor to create that parcel is somewhere between $2,200 and $2,500, which is, in my opinion, is probably an investment a business should make. I mean, the city is free. This council is free to say we'll take on that burden, but I think it's a discussion that needs to be had is whether or not how that fee structure will look when we do the parcel map, whether or not we want to pass that fee along to our potential lessees or build that into any rent agreement, lease agreement that we make, so that payment comes out over time, or just how this council wants to look at that. But that was the recommendation made out of Planning Commission yesterday.
You know how much land that the propane is taking?
So, no, and that's part of the problem is I looked at the lease yesterday prior to the meeting. And again, if you look at the map, there's no definitive boundaries of where Thomas Petroleum can be. And the lease actually doesn't say that either. And so.
We need to do it right.
So generally, I think they stay within I think they have a fence up there if I remember right. And so generally, they probably stay in there and they probably have no reason to go outside of that fence. But something, and we'll use Mr. Bourne as an example because he's the one that was here this evening, but something like he's thinking about doing a USDA facility where he's going to slaughter animals. I mean, and as his business grows and grows more, I mean, he might start encroaching on land that we technically didn't intend for him to use. But in the future, that's going to be hard to say, Mr. Bourne, you're encroaching on this land when we don't have a specific legal boundary for where his property is. And I don't think Mr. Bourne would do that, but it protects the city. And especially if we continue to get more businesses in there, then it would be easier to, I guess, quell any disagreements between neighboring businesses about who's encroaching on whose land and so forth. So I think doing the parcel map is a good idea.
I like that idea. It doesn't pigeonhole everyone either as far as what parcel they need. So he needs like just over 2 acres. So we draw the parcel map, get it surveyed, get that done for what he needs. But we're not just gonna be sectioning off the parcels at random because we don't know what other businesses, what they might need or what size of parcels they need, correct?
Correct. So how I envision this is that depending on what the city council says tonight, I start working on a kind of a lease agreement that will commonly be used. And that lease agreement will talk about the amount of land that they will need, I guess, but later we'll come to an agreement by using I can't think of words right now. I always can't think of words in this meeting. By coming to an agreement by using a surveyor and then both parties being out there to kind of give a rough outline of where this parcel is going to be. And so as long as both parties agree to I guess, the rough outline, then allow the surveyor, give them the freedom to draw the map, and then the city will record that map, sign that map, and record that map with the Lincoln County Recorder's Office. And then that will be integrated as part of the lease agreement in the future. And so if the lease agreement will say, again, how much land they will need, but will later come to a determination with the surveyor as to where and how that land will look like, and will be integrated into the contract.
I think it's important I almost think it's more important the city pays that first initial survey and I mean, it's great, Mr. Bourne wants to come in and do something, but I hate to get snowed by Mr. Bourne and just, you know, I think we need a business out there. I think it'll be really good, but I'd hate to see, cause like, just like that with Thomas, don't even know what they're doing or,
Right.
you know, I think it'd almost be better to pay that first initial fee.
The only fear I have about that is if if the city fronts the cost and then nothing ever happens after that point. Does that make sense?
But I did a little digging today in the recorder's office on the website, and I cannot find any utility easements across the private property for Rainbow Land and Cattle that serve the industrial park. We have that power line that runs through there, and we have a sewer and water line, and I cannot find the easements for them across that private property.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think that's,
And that's something that a surveyor is gonna have to clear up for us. Because we definitely don't wanna get in a fight with a private property owner
well,
over those easements.
if it's already there, then I guess it's already there.
Does he have an idea where he wants to, like, does he want to be
So
able to gun
as-
range or?
So specifically, Mr. Bourne is when you come in and there's kind of like a little roundabout and then it turns off, I'm always backwards, right, south. I think it's just that corner, right there.
Yeah, he indicated to the planning commission that he wanted to be off of the cul-de-sac.
Item number M that we're working on, if he's working on a lease agreement, then there's no use us going until he comes up with.
Yeah,
one-
and
with
I'm
one for
happy
us.
to come up with something, kind of, like I said, a standard lease agreement, and then you can approve it at the next city council meeting and something that we can.
Are you gonna, like, kind of price industrial property out?
So that's the thing is, I think I will come up with the standard lease agreement, but every lease will have to be approved by this city council because there are things that you're still gonna need to talk about, price, like you said. Again, the 2.5 acres that Mr. Bourne is using might look different than a 2.5 acre lot that someone else is using, right? And so we could do it, we could charge by the 1/10 of an acre, I guess, if that's a way you wanted to do it. Or you guys can individualize lease prices and things like
For the
that.
next-
Yeah,
That was my last question is, say like what Councilman Laveri said, you know, what if we split the cost or something on that initial one? We pay half, the business owner pays half. But how difficult is that? But you kind of answered that with every lease agreement's different. So how difficult would that be to, now here comes, you know, another business and then they say, well, you split it with this guy.
right. And so I think the council will need to come to a determination on that part, on the cost of doing the parcel. Because again, yeah, we don't want to run into trouble with saying, hey, you guys did it this way with this guy, and then change it for each. So for something like that, it needs to be standard across the board. Either make them pay it, or the city will pay it, or do a 50-50 split, so that they have some skin in the game as well. It's really up to what.
So we basically making a vote.
So, yeah,
Ron, like with you building a lease agreement then?
I think this is just oh, no, it isn't, just kidding.
Oh, it's action.
Possible action.
so the action can
Discussion
be.
enough, or do we need a motion?
Discussion enough. I think I have enough, enough information here to go forward and come up with a standardized lease agreement that you guys can look at. And then you can approve at the next meeting as a standard lease agreement, not necessarily a lease agreement for Mr. Bourne, right?
Yeah.
So, and then of course, you'll negotiate individually if someone else needs something.
Okay, any other discussion on this subject? Okay, move on. Updating concerning ongoing grants administration, CDBG Depot Grant.
Well, the depot is, just kind of doing its thing. Carmen is just working on the construction documents. Linda had her bi-weekly, which they're gonna change to monthly because bi-weekly is just a little too much. But anyway, she had her bi-weekly meeting, phone meeting with CDBG to kind of go over everything that's happening. We did reach out to Carmen. I'm gonna put her on the same schedule as the Lincoln County Power District for bi-monthly reports. And so that's not gonna be a problem there. So they'll go actually be the first meeting in May, so, or wait, no. Because the Power District came in the first meeting of April, so it will be June, the first meeting in June, that she'll be here. And we'll get those on schedule and just have them running normally, but other than that, we're just kind of, we're just waiting on those construction documents, so that way we can go out to bid for a contractor. But as far as her timetable goes, she's running very on point with her timetable. Carmen is. She's doing really great. So that's pretty much all that we have for the depot grant. And then, everybody does know that we're getting this money for the COVID. So we're just kind of still writing our task list down, that way we can kind of prioritize them and, come before you guys with an actual idea of how we want to spend that. We just haven't gotten all put together yet. So that's pretty much it on the grants, unless you guys have any questions.
On the grants? Okay. You got your report coming up.
But yeah, I'll just scroll on to my report. So I had an unexpected accident with my babysitter, so I've been working from home this week. So the girls have just kind of been taking care of the office. But Charlie, she's still trying to get the telephone company down here to get our new telephones in. They put us on hold. Apparently they have a government contract that we're not as important as. So, and then she did training last night on the planning meeting. And like I said, she's going to start training next week in the accounts payable. Rick got the bathroom parks ready for spring and summer use. He replaced the boxcar kiosk. And then he also got I didn't put this in here, but he also got the lawns mowed and stuff around the depot. And he got the lawnmowers ready to go and all of that. Linda, she has been mainly with me. She has been doing her grant. She did get her quarterly reports in for the grants. I didn't mention that. But then the rest of the time she's been researching municipal software, and then she's been with me doing GL corrections and bank rec. She has been gone yesterday or today, and half the day yesterday she's attending the Nevada Roll Roundup in Ely, which is, I attended it last year. I thought it was, or not last year, the year before that. I thought it was really, really great, so I think that it's good that she attended it. And then me, I have just been, we got the audit in, it was obviously approved by you guys and into the Department of Taxation. We got the tentative budget out to you guys and into the Department of Taxation. We have got all of our bank rec corrections done up to November of 2020, which was where we hit our huge hiccup. So I'm guessing the next couple of months should go smoothly, because November of 2020 is where we had our problem. Well, it wasn't, it was the months before November that we had all of our issues. Stacy's from Dan's office will be here next week to complete those corrections. I was here last night training Charlie on planning, and then basically, and then obviously I've been talking with DynaQuest about the system changeover, and then I've been just doing GL cleanup, just working on the GL, working with Stacy, getting all of that cleaned up, because my goal is to have it completely cleaned up before the Department of Taxation asks for our correction letter, so that way in the correction letter I can state that it's been completed.
Okay, any questions for our clerk?
I got a couple questions. Have you heard anything in the last little while from our League of Cities?
Oh, thank you, Tommy. I appreciate you for saying that. Yes, I have. Joe from Nevada League of Cities has contacted me, and they, with the world opening up, June 17th and 18th is going to be the Nevada League of Cities retreat in Elko. And she would be very appreciative if all the council and attorney can make it.
June
No.
when?
No.
June 17th and 18th. And so, yes, she's gonna get me a little flyer with all the info and everything. That way I can email it all out to you guys. And if you guys could just let me know if you're available those dates, I'll book the hotels and all of that to go along with it. But yeah, she did. She reached out.
Okay, And this is gonna be their annual,
Mm-hmm. Nevada League of Cities retreat. Yeah.
okay? As a delegate from the city, I haven't heard anything about any meetings. Have they had any Zoom meetings or anything in the last year?
They have not, they are having their board meeting in June, which we do have that,
Be on the 17th and 18th, the board meeting.
no, their board, I don't have their board meeting, but I will get that date to you, Tommy. I don't have it with me right now. But I'll get that date for the board meeting to you, but it is in June. And I can email it out, actually. I'll just email it out to all of you guys, so that way if you guys want to be a part of it.
I guess you can make up work orders, can't you? We need to have the new sidewalk and curb and gutter in front of the store marked for handicap. The signs are up on them posts, but we need the blue curb and we need it marked out into the street that it's handicapped.
I can get out of things when I get into it.
And it was brought up at the meeting last night, that our big flag up here is tattered and torn. And we need to get a new one up there for these celebrations that's coming up, if we can get one that soon. But saying all, I'm kind of proud of that tattered old flag. And we need to know, maybe you know, when we're gonna be spraying for dandelions. This is the Rose City, and it's turning out to be yellow dandelions, because they're sure all over.
Well, I will comment on that a little bit.
Okay.
It has been a topic of discussion recently with Chris and them. They do not spray for dandelions, is my new understanding. And I do not agree with that myself. And so I think we need to make a discussion on that, because we've been talking about that, I mean, the dandelions are still there, even though they stop blooming when it gets warm, they're still there.
We
And
need
so-
to, we need to get the clerk's deal done, and then we'll go back to
Public Works next.
Public Works next.
Okay, but I was just gonna say, I have this down here because if she can put out a work order, but if they're not doing it, then we've got to do something else.
That's what I understand, is they're not spraying for dandelions any longer.
That's all I had.
Okay, and then there was a request from Mary at the last council meeting, or planning, I can't remember, either way, to know about our marijuana revenue. So anyways, I just put this together. We started receiving marijuana revenue in September. As you can see, this is the monthly total of what we've received. This is where the money goes. 10% of it goes into marijuana oversight, 30% goes into emergency relief, 30% goes into capital expenditures, and 30% goes into debt services. So this is the breakdown per month of how much goes into each one. And then down here, you have your totals of how much has been completely put into those funds. Your total that we've received, and then how much have gone into each individual funds. You sure can, Mary.
Now, as far as that goes, like the debt reduction fund, when do we decide to spend out of that account? And when do we decide to spend out of any of these?
So I'd have to talk to Dan how that works. So the purpose of the debt fund is for us to be able to pay off our debt faster. So I don't know whether at the end of the year, we just transfer that over to where we pull our debt from. I'd have to actually
Or
really
do it
talk-
as soon as it shows up and get those, like that one, it's.
Yeah, I don't know
accruing, so
whether that's just a GL entry or exactly how, but the emergency relief and the capital expenditure and the marijuana oversight, we can spend out of that at any time. Marijuana oversight was intended to be any type of cost we incur because of the marijuana, like if the road needs fixed because we need to go out there to dump trash, any type of cost that we incur from the marijuana companies, that's what that money is set aside to take care of. And then the emergency relief is obviously any type of natural disaster or something like that happens, we have that money set aside. And then the
that was just my question, is how do we go about spending that money when it comes in?
Yeah,
or-
so-
just when we need it.
Yeah, so this board would just make the city council would just make a motion, put it on the agenda saying, we're gonna direct Amanda to pay, all that money in the debt services fund towards, I don't know what outstanding debts we have,
Yeah.
I'm sure we have
Yeah,
the
like the
sewer, right?
USDA,
The
yeah,
USDA.
sewer.
You can just direct her to make an extra payment out of that fund, towards principal on our USDA loan.
I think we ought to, I mean, we've got some money there. I think any little bit helps. I think we ought to make that a routine thing and put that on the agenda for,
Yeah, I can make that part of the, bill approval. It's just an extra payment. If you would like. So, but anyways, I just wanted to get that to you, Mary. I did. I can promise you I haven't gone.
I don't think they wanna go to prison.
I don't think, no, it's not my thing. But yeah, so, we are receiving that money monthly, and she gets it to me before the end of the month, for the previous, or the month before. And that's all I have for you guys.
One question on that, in case I missed something, but then that's all cross-referenced with the state, I'm sure, or whatever.
Yeah, so when I actually was doing my research about it, I was looking for some type of form that I had to fill out to send to the state, ensuring them that we received the money, and found out that we actually don't. It's part of our 941 quarterly reporting that we put in. It will show in that. And so we don't actually have to, submit anything to the state, but Brenda, she sends me the form that she submits to the state right along with the one that she submits to us, showing that they match.
So you got a way to reference it.
And also
Figured
those
you
state,
did, it's kind of a dumb question,
but yeah, and also that state revenue is public record on the state website, so I could also go and reference it by that as well.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Public Works Manager's report, he's not here. You got a report for him?
he sent everybody a copy of his report. That's exactly what it says. He pulled the water samples. We were able to send Chris to Alamo with our jetter, and the city of Alamo paid us to have Chris go down and help with a plugged sewer main line that they couldn't get done, and our jetter was very useful in that, and I've gotten reports back from them saying that is one of the best tools that they've ever seen, and so that was a good purchase for us to get that. The trash side, they've been working on the garbage truck again, cleaning out the compactor. They're also working on the dumpsters, the commercial dumpsters that have all been kind of tattered, so we can put some of those back in use. He says we've got 2 new commercial dumpsters in the last 2 weeks, which is a good thing. Those there, and they're looking on redoing the services on Clark Street behind all of Clover Street businesses. The parks, they've got 1 full-time employee, 1 employee right now that they're working on. They're working on hiring another one. Not a lot of great prospects there. They're having trouble getting interest in people coming in there. Kind of some talks of other ideas we could be going with on that down the road. So they've been fixing lots of sprinklers and getting leaks fixed and the clocks running and getting everything up there. So the parks are moving forward, which brings us back to the dandelions of, we'll have to start working on that and come up with a plan of how to attack those. In the streets, he says that they finished the curb, gutter, and sidewalk at the ADA approach in front of Great Basins Foods. That was a contractor, finally got that completely taken care of. Got to do some painting there. The cemetery had an opening and a closing. And then as the other items, they had to do some troubleshooting to figure out one of the dump trucks and the loaders that the batteries had apparently just went dead in, and did not want to take a jump start, they said. So they're gonna get parts and get them fixed so that it'll work. And then also where, across from the elementary school, where we store the water truck, the man door, the door there, they had to have that installed, a new one installed because it was not safe, it was not secure any longer, so BRLS took care of that for them.
We need to, also, that building over there, that water truck needs to be kept up in running condition. So, because that was one of the reasons that we bought that truck, was to have for fire coverage.
Yeah.
Well, we went to the truck the other day because we had a fire call, couldn't get it started. It's a mess. It was dirty and just a dump. That thing needs to
Good
be
to
kept
know.
up and in running condition. He said he's gonna give us a key to the building. We don't have a key to the building to get into it then. So we need to have a key to the building, to the fire department. But, yeah, that needs to be, I mean, we spend a lot of money on that truck. That kind of stuff needs to be kept up. And not just, when you get through with it, go put it in there, it's covered with mud and crap and just leave it there till next time. That stuff needs to be taken care of.
We will do that. And while I'm on that subject, I mean, we were talking about the dandelions. I kind of want to go back to that a little bit and see what the council's opinion kind of is of the dandelion situation. And I do have to preface, I have actually not talked to Grant specifically about that. He did acknowledge that they don't spray for dandelions. But
Why?
Chris's opinion is, in all of his years of working here, Chris believes that it's a waste of time and money to spray for dandelions. Because once it gets hot, they're no longer blooming and they're not a problem in the lawns. And I'm not a lawn expert anyway. I kind of feel like you should spray for them because that's why they make weed and feed, but.
They need to be sprayed.
Okay, I will pass that information on.
And on his report with parks, what are they moving? We've started moving this week.
So that means they started up and moving. They started getting things moving in the Parks Department. Instead of it just being dormant all winter, they finally started getting the lawnmowers out, getting the weed eaters turned up, getting everything.
You know, maybe it was mowing, maybe it's a typo.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
he meant to
started
say
moving.
mowing, I don't know.
I took it as they were just moving in the Parks Department finally instead of.
I realize
not
it's on
having
your
anybody working
report.
They were mowing today.
That's what I think he probably meant to say mowing this week.
He might have meant mowing on it.
But it's not Jamin's, I mean, he doesn't know, I mean, that's fine.
Any other questions? Discussion of legal matters. Mr. Katsky.
Yeah, so the one big item that's coming up is the discussion of the law enforcement contract. Myself, Mayor Rao, and Amanda were a part of discussions with the district attorney, sheriff, and County Commissioner Brackenberry this morning. We will have a closed session regarding that contract on our next meeting. So just be aware that that's coming up. So you may want to familiarize yourself with where we're at right now regarding the budget and what we've been paying lately. So
If you guys have any questions, just give me a call or come and see me or email me.
I've got a question in regards to that. Haven't they lost quite a few of their officers?
yes.
And we're not getting the patrolling that we are required and was in their promise of having 2 officers live here?
Well, the problem is we don't have a written contract right now. And there's not been a written contract for a decade and a half or so.
Right, but there was an agreement
Uh,
with Sheriff Lee,
Right, no one.
Bradfield, one of the 2.
So there's nothing enforceable because no one knows what any of those terms were. And so we're going to have a written contract by June 30th. Yeah, June 30th. And so so even with the loss, we'll discuss this more in closed session.
Okay.
May 6th? 6th, yeah. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, any questions? Building inspector's report.
Well, you guys have heard the majority of my report already on those 2 items. I've got a couple of additional items there on the old Caliente apartments, which are now the Mini Street apartments. I have spent way too much time with the surveyor and the new, well, not the new owner, because they haven't taken charge of it yet, but, we're having a problem with FEMA on the flood control. They spent $60,000 raising that building up, and FEMA is still giving them a bad time about letting them proceed with a letter of map amendment. So I spent way too much time on it already. We're probably gonna spend another 2 months on that same issue before we get it resolved. But we're working at it. The other thing is Patty's Motel, the old Midway Motel, is 99% complete right now. They want to try to get operational by the first of the month. And it looks like they can do it. The other project we've got going is Linwood's fire on our house. That's probably gonna be done by mid-May, totally. They're completely renovating the house with the insurance money, fortunately. So that's about all I've got, unless somebody's got any questions on it.
Questions for our building inspector? Okay. Thank you. Discussion of issues related to public safety. It's like our fire chief left. I don't know if anybody knew, but we had a fire actually in the Shady Motel 2 days ago. One of the tenants threw a towel up over the lights and set the towel on fire, and it set off the sprinkling system, which put out the fire, but it flooded the room, put 3 inches of water in the room and under the walls to the next rooms. So a lot of water damage, but at least it was on the bottom and not on the upstairs part. So anyway, that's just a comment for the public safety.
So they put a towel over the light?
Threw a towel up over the lights.
They were dimming the lights, is what they said.
The lights were too bright, so they threw a towel over them to make them so they weren't so bright.
Just mood lighting. It's 420. It was on 420. I got something, Mr. Mayor, on public safety. I talked to the chief last night at Fireman's, and I know planning commission's batted this back and forth about properties and, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, but there are some properties around town that, you know, and I know this is under planning and building, but talking to the chief, and I wish he would have been sticking around, some of these are fire hazards, like not just weeds, but refuse and some of these stuff. So I think planning's gonna, from what I understand, gonna kind of start taking a harder look at some of these things and not trying to be the bad guy as far as putting planning and building department, you know, under the gun here. But if you could get letters to homeowners that saying, if their fire does happen on your property or near your house, you know, it's going to be very difficult and it's going to be dangerous. So again, I'm not the expert, but I just thought that could go under public safety.
I got one thing to go with that. I got called out to a fire yesterday morning to Beatty, Nevada. I've never been called on a fire to Beatty, Nevada in my entire career. This early too, so it's already shaping up to be potentially, it's so dry, you know, so might be something.
And the planning commission discussed that last night. It'll be on the next agenda for them to take some action.
Okay. Sheriff's office not here, so we'll move on. Council member responsibilities, Parks Beautification Committee, Mr. Fitzsimons.
Okay, well, you heard from from Anna Perkins. We are grateful that the council not only approved the location change, but also the liquor license transferred. Anna Perkins has done, She's donated a tremendous amount of time in putting this thing together. I think you've seen the flyers, the pre-orders. So that has been discussed at our last meeting. Next meeting will not be till after the Tacos and Ritas event on May 18th, I believe. At the last meeting, we just, like I said, put the final touches on this major event, and we are talking about the flags. Again, some of the proceeds of this event, we're gonna buy some of the new flags that we put out, because some of them are getting pretty tattered, and we haven't been putting some of the tattered ones out. So we plan on purchasing some new flags and maybe even thinking about some solar light type stuff so we can leave them out on certain weekends, like Memorial Day or 4th of July. I think that's about it for beautification, and beautification wanted me to mention the large flag as well, but Councilman Rao already mentioned that in the other report, so, or a couple minutes ago. That's all we got.
Questions? Okay, community development and planning. Councilman Rao.
Yes, the planning commission met, and we discussed several of the items that come up pretty thoroughly. One of them was the presentation we had from this battle-born cattle. And another thing was the weeds that was discussed. And the survey, that's all been taken care of. I visited with, and we got a call from Pool Pack today, after I initiated the start on that, and they are going to have an open meeting law course. There's training on Zoom, and they're going to contact Amanda at the office to set it up. Now, my question is, if it comes at a time when everybody cannot attend that, is there a way that we can film it, video? Okay.
Record the Zoom session.
Okay, we need to do that so that if some of the planning commission are not available, or some of the council might be working or out of town and can't do it, then we can show it at another time for them.
You can even just email it out to them.
They also have different groups. The seniors runs the senior center up here. They have meetings and stuff. They would like, I would think they'd like to be included in that too.
We can just we can just advertise it, for any public meeting.
Once you get the word of when it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's all I have.
Any questions for Tommy? Okay, tourism, Boxcar Museum. Mr. LaVerry.
So the Boxcar Museum met yesterday. I couldn't attend because I got called out to a fire early in the morning, but I did speak with Jan. Grant's not here tonight, so I'll follow up with him, Jamin. But the plexiglass windows, I don't know where that's at with Keith Camella, but I haven't seen Keith around in a while. So I'll talk to Grant. Maybe there's something we can work out.
I'll
Maybe
make
Frank
contact
could
with him
help.
tonight as well.
And, so they opened and I guess they had a lot of visitation over there and they expect that to be the same. I told Jan, we talked about that at the last meeting, which is the influx of people that always come by the depot. And then there was an AC unit too that she wanted me to bring up to Grant that I think he's aware of, for the boxcars, something to keep it cooled down in there. And I believe she said they talked with them about it, so.
About putting a new one in there or something?
Well, we were talking about, but we haven't really tested the old one, and we're kind of concerned it works. Everything works on it, so I think we want to test that first.
Do it, yeah.
That'll come out of our budget.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rick's aware of it, and he's going to keep that in mind.
Okay. And then irrigation system and all that stuff, which I'm sure they're getting around to, but just, I'll throw him a reminder too, just once he's out and about. What else was there? So then on the tourism side, the 200, of course, that was a success. And then, this week there's a Moran race again at Delamar. Then the Tacos and Ritas, the bike race. The same day as that's the Silver State 300, which that brings in a lot back and forth. Softball tournaments being advertised. And there's a big race in Pioche now that's like gonna be really big on Memorial Day, actually, so like big,
Like a race?
like a dirt bike race, but it's like a 2-day thing, and big sponsors, like big title sponsors like Oakley and Chaparral Honda and different things. It's gonna be a big thing, so anyways, that's gonna be a huge influx on Memorial Day, possibly, and, he had spoke to me about maybe on the next meeting, looking at some room tax funding possibly. I know he was going to the county with it, so I'll get with Susan and Mary and them and see if they wanna put a meeting together before the next council meeting, but,
Just let us know.
see how that plays into Memorial Day, because, yeah, it's gonna be a big deal. From the people that have reached out to him so far, so. I think that's all I had, but, oh, one other thing, just the warm weather, and I don't know, again, every weekend you see that, but it's just getting busier and busier here, and like the UTV things, every weekend, almost 20, 30 UTVers and camp trailers, so. Place is definitely getting noticed,
Yeah.
There's always people here, so, good thing. That's it.
Any questions for Joe? Public utilities, look like Mr. Hunter's most done his.
I think we've covered most of the public utilities, so I think we're good.
Okay. Any questions for Councilman Hunter? Okay, I don't have too much either. I got, had a meeting yesterday with, teleconference with, Southern Habitat Conservation. We meet once a month, and it's got the BLM, it's got the railroad and county and Fish and Wildlife all meet together to do with the willow flycatcher and the tortoises, and the beaver and the creek, and working on all that stuff up and down. So they got some projects going on down by the Carp, and then they got some down, I guess, and over by Mesquite. They're putting in a gas line down there, so they gotta rehab all that stuff, so it's all part of that. Anyway, I don't have much more, anything there to give, so.
I got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
The road construction coming up from redoing Panaca to, I think it's maybe Cali into Cathedral Gorge, do you know anything, like when that's coming?
You know what, I have heard people talking about it, but I have not heard any dates at all. Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I know they're stockpiling a lot of stuff. I think Wilkins, they said last night Wilkins was bringing in a bunch of equipment and stuff up here too, so maybe he's gonna do some.
I think it's coming soon, but yeah, I'll try to ask him. That's just out of curiosity.
Okay. Public comment. Oh. Oh, this road right from the depot up? Okay. taking notes, so.
Did you say, I'm so sorry, did you say the Dixon Street, or are you talking about the park?
She just said Dixon Street.
Okay.
You know, she said there's just, it's really, you know, the sidewalk there, got a bunch of stuff in the road, it's just dogs and stuff like that, and the same pole.
Gotcha.
And I don't walk, so I can't tell you. But she would appreciate that.
Any other public comment?
Charlie did a really good job last night.
Okay, if we have no other public comment, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting.
Schedule a date. I won't say it. Well, we didn't schedule the date we're talking. We did, we talked about that a lot.
I don't have it with me. I didn't bring it. Tommy? I need to talk to Tommy.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. Oh, all right. All right.
I need you to come up here.
You're in.
See you later.